In the brain, emotional experiences leave chemical footprints. Every thought and feeling you repeat strengthens neural pathways. When she left, you didn't just lose a person, you lost a pattern. You lost the chemistry your brain had gotten used to. The dopamine hits from affection, the oxytocin from intimacy, the serotonin from feeling wanted. Suddenly, those neurochemical routines vanished, and your body responded like it would to any addiction withdrawal. The sadness, the longing, the sleeplessness, that's not just a missing her. That's your system struggling to find balance without the emotional stimulus it had grown dependent on. And that's exactly why this pain is your opportunity. Because now, stripped of the distractions and the emotional crutches, you are raw. And when you're raw, you're real. That rawness is fertile ground for change because the brain is most adaptable in states of emotional intensity. It's called neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself based on new experiences. Right now, in the depths of your heartbreak, your brain is wide open to change. It's begging for new patterns, new meanings, and new identity. But transformation doesn't happen by chance. It requires intention. Pain alone isn't enough. You must decide to use this pain as a lever, to dig into yourself and question who you were, who you've been pretending to be, and who you're ready to become. When she left, she created a vacuum. Most people rush to fill that vacuum with someone new or with mindless habits to stay numb. But if you resist that urge, if you allow the emptiness to sit with you, you'll find that within it is a hidden potential. You get to choose what fills that space now. You can fill it with self-respect, with discipline, with presence, with goals that were long buried under the comfort of familiarity. Pain brings you face to face with yourself, and that confrontation is where transformation begins. It forces you to ask the hard questions. Why did I rely on her for my sense of worth? Why did I silence my own needs just to be loved? Why did I tie my happiness to something I couldn't control? These questions don't feel good, but they're sacred, because each answer you discover unlocks a deeper truth about who you are and who you no longer wish to be. From a scientific lens, when you begin to think differently, when you stop repeating the same emotional loops and instead focus on gratitude, strength, or vision, you start to create new neural networks. The brain quite literally begins to reshape itself. You're not just moving on. You're becoming someone new. That's the real gift of pain. It opens a window for creation. And if you step through it with awareness, you'll find that the man you're becoming isn't just healing, he's awakening. This is why pain should never be feared. It should be honored. It's evidence that something inside of you is still alive, still yearning, still capable of deep change. Every great transformation in history, whether personal or collective, began with discomfort, with a rupture, with something falling apart so something greater could emerge. You're in that moment now. You can resist it or you can embrace it. She left you. And yes, it hurts. But in the grand design of your evolution, this pain is not an end. It's a beginning. Your nervous system is signaling a rebirth. Your identity is in flux. Your future is malleable. Don't waste this window. Don't numb it. Feel it fully. But don't just feel it. Channel it. Use it to build, not from bitterness, but from clarity. Let this pain teach you discipline, focus, independence, emotional mastery. Let it be the fire that forges the next version of you, the one who doesn't beg for love but radiates it from within. The one who doesn't chase validation but creates purpose. The one who doesn't repeat the past but designs the future. Pain is not your enemy. It's your turning point. Listen closely. You begin to install emotions like confidence, peace, strength, and joy before there's a reason to. You fire new neural pathways. You flood your system with unfamiliar but empowering chemicals. You teach your body how to live in a new emotional reality. At first, it will feel strange.
Your body will resist. It will say, this isn't who you are. We miss the sadness.
She revealed where you were empty. The addiction wasn't just to her, it was to the part of you that believed you weren't whole without her. That part is now being dismantled. Not to destroy you, but to reveal you. You're not healing so you can be a better for someone else. You're healing so you stop betraying yourself. So you can look in the mirror and recognize the man you were always meant to be. Free, grounded, and emotionally sovereign. This is your moment, not to suppress the pain, but to understand it. Not to rush into another cycle, but to sit with yourself long enough to learn who you are without the mask of attachment. The more you break the emotional addiction, the more energy you reclaim. Energy that was once wasted on overthinking, overfeeling, overanalyzing, now redirected toward creating a life that feels like freedom. You are not your cravings. You are not your past programming. You are not the echo of her absence. You are the author of your new emotional state. And this moment of raw, aching awareness is the doorway. Walk through it, and don't look back. You are not your past unless you keep rehearsing it. And most people do. Not because they want to, but because they don't know they're doing it. Every morning they wake up, and before their feet even touch the floor, their mind is already living yesterday, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, running the same stories. They call it a me, but it's not truly them. It's a memory loop, a program. A past version of the self being projected into the present. When she left you, what hurt the most wasn't just the separation. It was the way your mind immediately tried to make sense of it by reaching backward. It pulled out every shared moment, every conversation, every high, every low, every possible sign you missed. And just like that, you found yourself reliving the past in high definition. Not just mentally, but emotionally. You weren't just remembering. You were re-experiencing. That's the key. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's happening now and what you vividly imagine or remember. When you think about her walking away, about the way she said goodbye, about the nights you spent together, you trigger the same neural pathways, the same hormones, the same heartache. You feel it as if it's happening again because for your body it is. This is what it means to rehearse the past. You give it life. You keep it active in your nervous system. And as long as you do, you will stay energetically tied to it. You may say, I want to move on. But if your thoughts, feelings, and actions are all anchored in who you were when you were with her, you're not moving. You're orbiting. The past becomes a prison when you identify with it. When you say, this is who I am because this is what happened to me, you lock yourself in a version of self that no longer serves your growth. Yes, the experiences were real. Yes, the love was real. But your attachment, you keep the thought I was abandoned enough times, your brain wires it enough, is what keeps you stuck. It's repetition that forms identity. Not truth. If you repeat the thought I was abandoned enough times, your brain wires that. If you keep saying she was everything to me, your emotional body clings to that narrative like a lifeline. But stop and ask yourself, who are you without that story? Who could you be if you stopped rehearsing pain and started rehearsing power? Because here's the truth. You get to choose which version of yourself you practice. Every thought is a rehearsal. Every emotion is a signal. Every action is a vote for the future or a replay of the past. Breaking free doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to energize what no longer aligns with the man you're becoming. It means recognizing that every time you talk about her, think about what you lost or analyze why it ended. You're feeding the old self, and the old self doesn't want to let go. It finds safety in the familiar, even if that familiar is filled with longing and regret. But freedom doesn't live in familiarity. It lives in creation. To stop rehearsing the past, you have to become more interested in your future than in your pain. You must begin to ask, who would I be if I stopped defining myself by this relationship? What would I feel like if I wasn't carrying this grief? What kind of man am I becoming on purpose? These are not just philosophical questions. They are biological ones. Because every time you imagine a new version of yourself and you feel the elevated emotion that goes with it, gratitude, excitement, peace, you fire new neural patterns. You begin to install the identity of the future instead of reenacting the identity of the past. And it's not about pretending. It's about remembering your power. You are not bound to who you were when she loved you. You are not frozen in the moment she walked away. Unless you choose to be, if you wake up and feel the same heartbreak every day, you're not feeling the pain of the event, you're feeling the pain of rehearsing it. You are literally conditioning your body to expect sorrow. That becomes your emotional baseline. That becomes your identity. But identity is fluid if you're willing to step beyond the memory. Close your eyes. Imagine a version of you who's already healed. Who doesn't carry her absence like a wound, but carries himself like a man who has returned to himself? Feel what that version of you would feel. Think how he would think. Speak as he would speak. This is more than fantasy, it's neurological practice. And the more you do it, the more you strengthen that future self in your mind and body. Eventually, the past will no longer feel like home. It will feel foreign, unfamiliar, and you'll realize that you've moved on, not just because time passed, but because you stopped rehearsing who you were. This is how true transformation happens, not by running from the past, but by refusing to repeat it. She was part of your journey, but she is not your destination. Stop reliving the same ending. Start writing the next chapter. You are not your past unless you keep waking up and choosing it. Choose something greater. Choose yourself. Energy is not destroyed, it is redirected. The same energy that once built her image in your mind, that elevated her to a place of emotional power in your heart, can now be reclaimed and used for a much greater purpose, the creation of your future self. But first, you must realize something fundamental. It wasn't her you were addicted to. It was the story you built around her, the emotions you attached to that story, the meaning you assigned to her presence. And all of that was constructed with your energy, your thoughts, your time, your emotional intensity. You made her a symbol, not just of love, but of safety, fulfillment, possibility. And that's not a fault, it's human. We do it all the time. We meet someone who triggers a deep emotional need within us, and our mind begins to create a world around them. It paints them as the missing piece. It builds them into a future. It uses energy, attention, imagination, chemistry to build a narrative, one where they complete us. And every time we think about them, replay a moment, or fantasize about what could be, we reinforce that image until it feels more real than reality. But here's the awakening. If you had the energy to build that image of her, then you have the same energy to build an image of you, one that's no longer based on lack or loss, but on potential. The mind is a projector. Whatever you feed it expands. Whatever you rehearse, it becomes. For months, maybe years, you projected your highest feelings onto someone outside of you. But what if those feelings were never hers? What if they were always yours? She didn't give you that sense of aliveness, that sense of purpose. She activated, but the source was within you all along. So now you redirect. Take that attention you once gave to her mood, her words, her distance, her affection, and turn it inward. Give that same level of sensitivity to your own inner world. Tune into the voice within you that's been silenced by distraction. Listen to the version of yourself that's been buried under the need for someone else's presence. When you do, you begin to harness energy as a tool for transformation. Understand, energy flows where attention goes. If your attention stays fixed on the loss, your energy reinforces the identity of someone abandoned. But if your attention shifts to creation, if it turns to goals, to inner discipline, to developing new habits and belief systems, then your energy starts to build momentum in a new direction. And that's when everything begins to shift. Start small. Begin by observing how much of your mental space still belongs to her. Not with judgment, but with awareness. Catch yourself when you drift into old fantasies, regrets, conversations. Not to shame yourself, but to reclaim your power. Each time you stop the loop, each time you interrupt the narrative, you take back a portion of your creative energy, and you reinvest it, not in the past, but in your evolution. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools you have. You've used it before. You used it when you imagined a life with her. You rehearsed scenarios, created emotional responses, wired your brain and body to believe in something that wasn't even real yet. Now do the same for you. Visualize the man you're becoming, the one who wakes up with purpose. The one who speaks with clarity. The one who no longer begs for attention but commands respect through presence alone. See him. Feel what it would be like to live in his skin. Let your nervous system become familiar with him, not as a wish, but as a memory from the future. That's how you reprogram your emotional blueprint. That's how you rewire your brain, not by force, by repetition, by commitment, by choosing moment after moment to invest in the man you're building, because energy doesn't care where it goes, it simply follows your focus. If you focus on her, it builds nostalgia. If you focus on loss, it builds longing. But if you focus on yin, your growth, your future, your strength, that same energy becomes the force that elevates you, that powers your transformation. That fuels the life that was waiting for you all along. This isn't about ignoring the past. It's about transcending it. It's about using everything you once gave away, your love, focus, your drive, and bringing it home to yourself. Not in bitterness, but in clarity, because now you see you were never weak for loving. You were simply unaware of how powerful your energy was. Now you know. And now you choose to stop spending your energy on what's gone and start investing it in what's possible. There's a moment right after everything falls apart where you feel like the universe has turned its back on you. The silence she left behind echoes louder than any words. You wake up in a room that used to feel full and now feels like a hollow version of your life. You sit with yourself and all that rises is discomfort, raw, aching, relentless discomfort. And the mind whispers, why is this happening to me? But the truth is, it's not punishment. It's initiation. Discomfort is the friction that breaks down who you were so who you really are can emerge. It's the heat that burns away the false identities, the masks, the roles you played to be loved, to be accepted, to be enough. It's not cruelty, it's refinement. Because transformation doesn't begin with joy. It begins with collapse. You're not broken, you're being restructured. Most people avoid this part. They reach for distractions. They numb the pain with noise, with validation, with rebound relationships, with endless scrolling and quick relief. But they don't realize that the discomfort they're running from is the doorway. It's not a wall. It's not meant to be escaped. It's meant to be walked through. Because everything you want, clarity, confidence, peace, purpose, lies on the other side of this discomfort. This pain you're feeling, it's sacred. It's your system realizing that the old way of living no longer fits. It's the emotional detox from years of unconscious behavior, the withdrawal from needing someone else to regulate your worth, the unraveling of the story that said, I'm only valuable if she stays. You must sit in it, not to suffer, but to see the parts of you that were waiting for this very moment to rise, the strength you never had to access because comfort was doing the work, the wisdom you didn't need because distraction made it easy. The voice within you that was drowned out by the sound of chasing love. Now it all returns. In the stillness, in the discomfort. Because here's what most don't understand. Transformation isn't created when you feel good. It's created when you feel real. And nothing makes you more real than being stripped of everything you thought you need to survive. When there's no one left to impress. No image left to maintain, just you. Naked, honest, present. In the fire, this is where the real work begins. Don't wish it away. Don't pray for it to end before it teaches you what it came to reveal. Instead, get curious. Ask the discomfort what it's trying to show you. Ask the pain what part of you is ready to evolve. You'll find that underneath the grief, underneath the tension, underneath the heartbreak is something rare, something solid, something that remembers who you are beyond attachment. Discomfort is intelligence. It's your inner world screaming, this is not alignment anymore. It's your soul pushing you to move, not because you're being punished, but because it's time. Time to stop living in half versions of yourself. Time to stop pretending that love means abandoning your boundaries. Time to stop shrinking just to keep someone else close. Now the discomfort asks you to choose. Will you go back to who you were, or will you stay in the fire long enough to let it melt away your illusions and forge something stronger? You can't become a new man in the comfort of your old life. You must outgrow it. That means sitting in the unknown, letting go of control, feeling lost and unsteady, and still choosing to breathe, still choosing to stay, still choosing to show up for the version of you that's waiting on the other side of this storm. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to feel yourself. And if you feel broken now, good. That means you're not numb anymore. That means the layers are peeling away. That means you're finally in the place where change becomes not just possible, but inevitable. This isn't punishment. It's preparation. You're not being buried. You're being planted, and discomfort is the soil where new roots grow. So when it gets heavy, stay. When it burns, stay. When you want to run, stay. Because the man who can sit with his own discomfort and not flinch is the man who becomes unshakable. There's a quiet lie many people live with after heartbreak. It's not something they say out loud. It's more of a posture, an invisible waiting room they live inside without knowing. A hidden belief that says maybe she'll come back. And so even though she's gone, a part of you pauses. Thought you keep one foot in the past, one eye on, tail on and then on. You keep your heart half off, up, both. But here's the raw truth most never want to face. Your new life cannot begin while you are still secretly waiting for her to return. You can't hold your future hostage to someone else's absence. This isn't about being cold. This isn't about pretending it didn't matter. Of course it mattered. Of course she mattered. But what's done is done. She made a choice. And the most powerful thing you can do now is make yours. And no longer place your healing in the hands of someone who walked away. The moment you stop waiting for her, you start calling yourself back. Waiting keeps you energetically tied to the past. It tells your subconscious that your best days are behind you, that your joy is dependent on her presence, that your story is still unfinished until she returns to complete it. And that story, no matter how comforting it might feel, is a trap. Because it makes you passive in your own evolution. Look closely and you'll see it. You delay the gym, the goals, the new mindset, the healing, because in the back of your mind there's always this idea that if she comes back, you'll feel whole again. So you don't fully invest in your growth. You live halfway. You become a man in limbo, hoping, wondering, replaying. But what if she never comes back? No, really, ask yourself, what if she never calls? What if she never apologizes? What if the closure you crave never arrives? If the answer to those questions leaves you frozen, then you've given away your power. Because the truth is, she was never meant to be your source of healing. That was never her job. That's your job. Their healing begins not when you receive closure from her, but when you give it to yourself. When you choose to stop needing her return to feel complete. When you understand that the version of you who was with her is gone too. And thank God for that. Because that version of you, he was operating from a place of attachment, from fear. From a lack of self-worth that said, if she's here, I'm okay. If she leaves, I'm not. That version of you needed to be cracked open, not punished, but awakened. That awakening begins the moment you stop standing by the door. The moment you stop checking her social media. The moment you stop hoping for a text. The moment you say, even if she never returns, I'm moving forward anyway. That's when your life starts. That's when you become dangerous. Because a man who's no longer waiting is a man who's moving. And a man in motion is unstoppable. You don't have to hate her. You don't even have to forget her. But you must release her. Not for her sake, for yours. Because every second you wait for her to return is a second you delay your own rebirth. Your life is happening now. The opportunities, the connection. The version of you that's trying to be born, he's not interested in waiting. He's waiting on you to step out of the past, to walk into the unknown, to believe that what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. So let her go. Not just physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Let her go, not because she didn't matter, but because you finally do. Let her go because your story doesn't end with her absence. It begins there. You're not here to be someone's maybe. You're here to become someone's miracle, starting with your own. Your new life is waiting, but it won't wait forever. It begins the moment you stop looking over your shoulder and start walking forward. You thought her leaving was the end of something, but now you understand. It was the beginning of you. When she walked away, it wasn't just a relationship that ended. It was a mirror breaking. A reflection you'd been staring into, trying to find yourself shattered. And in that silence, in that space where you used to feel her presence, you finally met yourself. Yes, it hurt. Of course it did. The body mourns the familiar. The mind clings to patterns. The heart aches when its rhythm is disrupted. But pain is not a mistake. It is a messenger. And its message is this. There's more to you than who you were when you loved her. You begin to see that heartbreak isn't chaos. It's clarity. You were so busy trying to hold her, you didn't realize how much of you had been left behind. Now the invitation is clear. Come back home to yourself. You reclaim your energy. The same energy that once built her into a fantasy. That same fire is now yours again. You take it, and instead of giving it away, you build with it. You build vision. You build discipline. You build a man who doesn't need someone to stay in order to stand tall. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. But now you know discomfort is not punishment. It is preparation. The pain you feel now is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a signal that something deeper is waking up inside of you. Something stronger, something real. This isn't where you break. This is where you're forged. Because your new life, the life you were meant to live, it begins not when she comes back, but when you stop waiting. When you stop living in the ghost of a past that no longer serves you. When you stop asking, will she return? And start asking, who am I becoming now? That's when the shift happens. That's when momentum builds. That's when purpose returns. And piece by piece you rebuild. Not the old you, not the one who begged to be chosen, but the one who chooses himself again and again. The one who no longer seeks completion through someone else, but creates it within. So no, her leaving wasn't your undoing. It was your unlocking. Let this be the chapter where you stop bleeding in silence, where you stop apologizing for your pain, where you finally rise, not in spite of the heartbreak, but because of it. She left you? Good, now you build.